All right, so once again, welcome. Thanks for joining. We're going to take a look at branding yourself on Facebook today. And Facebook, of course, is a platform that most people are the most familiar with. But there's some aspects of it that Facebook has made some pretty drastic changes on the back end in the last year, year and a half that really impact the way that you potentially can do business. Of course, as we're thinking about this particular set of classes and things like that. We want to, keep going back to these 5 pillars of education. So, of course, our ultimate goal in this, with our 6th pillar, is to grow our business out of this. So today we're going to be talking about branding and how do you tell your story to your best ability. How does not just healthy living content come through from the soundboard to go out to your audience, but how do you put your best foot forward? How does the things that you care about come through? And that all, like it or not, goes to make you the brand that you are. We're all a brand. We're all selling something. Whether it's an idea or our products, or you just want to convince somebody of something. So we're all in that same boat in regards to moving ideas across. So the first thing you have to do is you got to look your best. This may go without saying for the large majority of you, but I'm still constantly surprised at how many people sign up for Soundboard and have never thought about touching their Twitter handle since they created it 3 years ago. And a lot of people don't even have their Facebook photos up to date. So please take a few minutes to do that and make sure that at least something is there. And don't have something old or something empty. Now let's hop over here to my feed. I'll pick on myself here. This is a cute picture of me and my wife, but not a great background photo. Super dark. A lot of potential real estate there is lost. And then I think this is funny. This is actually D.B. Cooper, who was the top 10 FBI's most wanted. He robbed a bank and hijacked an airplane in the 60s and jumped out of the airplane. But all my buddies told me when I put sunglasses on, I look like him. So you never know. You never know who you're talking to through these computers. Anyway, I digress. So the point is, take the time to update your profile. The other thing is this, is that I took the time to do this a couple of months back, but I had not done this previously. Take the time to go ahead and complete the bulk of your profile. And so let's go over here and take a look at where you do that, because there's so much information here that if you put it in accurately, Facebook will do a good job of connecting you with people that you've come across in your past. So do take the time to, of course, put your work in your education history in there. But this one, to me, was the most interesting. All right, so I currently live in Jackson, grew up in Memphis, but I have lived a lot of places. And when you put the places that you've lived in with the timestamps that you live there, what it will do is begin to suggest people based on network connections that you already have, and it will begin to recommend friends to you based on who you're already friends with that are connected with people from that place and time. All right, so a lot of college friends popped up in this. I actually dropped out of college and moved to Utah for a year. After college, spent some time in the Caribbean doing the scuba diving thing, and then moved to Georgia and started teaching school. And I have been constantly surprised at how many interesting and accurate friend requests have popped up after I filled out this information. So I think this is a great way to, to take the time. It's just going to take you a few minutes. Put as much of this information in as you're comfortable with. I don't think it's a problem, because ultimately you want to be contacted. You've got a space here for your Juice Plus site. If you want to put in other social media links, you can, your Twitter, your LinkedIn, your Instagram, things like that. And then, of course, most of y'all may have, at least your spouse and stuff in with the family network. But take the time to fill this out, and hopefully you'll be pleasantly surprised with how many connections that Facebook provides for you out of that. So it's a simple thing, it's an easy thing, but it's something you might not have thought of before. So when we're thinking about Facebook and growing that conversation, okay, this is a little bit more technical, but I really wanted to get into this because of the way that Facebook operates. And when you think about, you know, I do these classes for Kerry Daigle's team and the Keep Punching team. And he's such a promoter, and he's so good at talking about how to get a conversation to lead to a presentation that could lead to an invitation, I think is his phrasing. And so, Nikki, I see your question. It's a personal page versus business page. At the moment, we're only talking about your personal Facebook feed and your personal Facebook wall. So how do you think about Facebook in terms of a warm network? All right, so let's take a look at what these slides say here, and then I want to talk through the implications of this. So these first 3 bullets are from Facebook's terms of service agreement. Okay, so the first thing it says is Facebook was built on the idea of connecting people with their friends and family. That's still the driving principle of the news feed today. Our top priority is keeping you connected with the people, places, and things you want to be connected to, starting with the people you are friends with on Facebook. Okay, so the implication there is they're going to put things at the top of your feed that they think you want to be connected to. Well, how do they know what you want to be connected to? Yes, Nick, that is yes, absolutely right. Hold that thought, because we're getting there. Okay, Nick has brought up the point. Well, if you have 3,000 followers on the business page and you only have a couple of hundred personal friends, why would you want to lean towards the personal side? Okay, well we're getting there. Hold that thought. So in regards to what Facebook continues to put at the top of your feed, how do you, because it's not just chronological, you know, what they keep putting the same people, the same topics, maybe even the same posts sometimes at the top of your feed, because they think that's what you care about. Well, how do they know? Well, it's because those are the things that you've commented on, that you've liked and shared before. Okay, so those types of things start to pop up at the top. Now, your feed should inform people. Expect the stories in their feed to be meaningful to them. And this is Facebook saying, we have learned over time that people value stories that they consider informative. Well, I mean, duh, right? But how does Facebook know that it's meaningful? Well, if you start clicking on it, if you start clicking on certain topics, those are the things that begin to show up at the top of your feed, because that's what Facebook thinks you care about. But the problem is it gets very insular, and it gets very much almost like this little bubble. And we've heard of Facebook becoming an echo chamber, especially in political season, where it's only the things and things and people that we agree with, or it's only a particular topic that we care about. And so, of course, then Facebook is also really good at distracting us. Your feed should entertain. We've also found that people enjoy their feeds as a source of entertainment. Well, we're getting to it here in a moment, but Facebook has declared very loudly that ultimately they want every single piece of content that hits their platform to be video. Why is that? Well, it's because it stops you from scrolling, because it catches your eye. And then all of a sudden you realize you've just spent 2 minutes watching dogs fall off a couch in slow motion, you know, and like, where has our life gone? But they know that that stops you from scrolling, and videos have gotten so smart that they know that they autoplay in mute. And so now the text starts to scroll, and you can read this muted video and watch it play out before you realize, oh, well, I just saw 90 seconds of something that I ultimately didn't care about, or whatever it was that caught your eye. Okay, so that's the entertainment side of the feed. But okay, so to Nick's point of why have a business page that has lots of followers, but why are we talking so much about our personal pages here? Okay, so here's where, and we're going to talk a lot more about this next week in depth, but I'm throwing this idea out here right now. The period between January and May of 2016 accounted for a 42% decline in publishers' organic reach, while June and July of that year accounted for another 10% point drop. Okay, so June and July's dramatic drop follows Facebook's adjustment of its algorithms to emphasize personal posts in the news feed over posts from publishers. Okay. Oh, got it. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I see what you mean. Yeah, you definitely want to focus on the personal side of that with the big network. Okay, so and to that point, when Facebook retooled their algorithm, and again, much more to come on this in next week's session. But what happened is that they decreased the ability for business pages to have reach and to be found, and dramatically increased the ability for friends to connect and for people to see what other people have done versus what business pages have done. All right, and so actually I'm going to skip some slides here. I'm going to go out of order. I want to point this out because this is how Facebook determines what they think you think is important. Okay, so we've got two graphs here. First of all, this is how posts are weighted. And so posts have two things. What type of post they are is the object, and what happens to them are the actions. Okay, so objects have weight. The most weight are, of course, video posts. This is why. Sorry if you love these things. If you post a lot of these, I'm going to unfollow you. They drive me crazy. The overhead recipe cam video of the fast motion stirring and the pouring the eggs in the bowl, I'm out. I'm done. But those kinds of things have the most weight. Okay, so that's why we see these video posts, and BuzzFeed has become an industry because they make these 90-second, 2-minute snippet videos that stop us dead in our tracks. Well, Facebook wants that. That is why they have introduced Facebook Live. If you have used it or seen other people use it, it's a great way to connect with people. Just make some kind of video announcement. You're live. People can comment on it right then, and then it's there, and they can play it afterwards in perpetuity. So it's kind of like a live recorded YouTube right there in the Facebook app. That is what Facebook wants you to be doing. Then photos come after that. Of course, Facebook wants you to be sharing photos. That's what it was originally built on. Third, after that comes links. So articles do still have some weight to them. The thing that has the least amount of weight is your status update, when you just type a text phrase, because Facebook has learned that people just tend to scroll past those things. All right, now, don't be despairing about your articles. If you think, well, this is not as good as video, we're going to, in a couple weeks when we talk about buffer, I'm going to show you how to pull some analytics out of it that show you how many people are actually reading your articles and clicking through, even if you can't, even if Facebook's not telling you. Okay, there's a trick. Okay, so here's again how to be thinking about this. So this is why we are trying to find good video content to host on the soundboard that isn't branded as some other competitive brand. We know that there's a handful of good Juice Plus YouTube videos that we're trying to use. We are working with corporate. I'm actually going to corporate tomorrow to talk to Janet Black and a lot of the RDs about maybe using Shred 10 content on the soundboard. So hopefully more info to come. But for now, we're doing our best to find a lot of video content that, again, is not talking about competitors. So we know that that's important. Now, once things start to, once posts are created and things start to happen to them, the best thing that can happen to it is a share. And once posts start to get shared, this is why when you check your Facebook feed at 8 a.m., a post is sitting at the top. And then when you come back and check your Facebook feed at 6 p.m., maybe that same post is still sitting at the top of your feed. Well, it's because that post has taken on a life of its own. And especially if you gave it a thumbs up or an emoji or you commented on it, then it's going to keep staying at the top of your feed because Facebook thinks that's what you care about the most because you interacted with it. And this can be annoying from time to time when you just want it to go away, but it's going to keep staying at the top. Now, when you create stuff, of course, you want these things to happen. So shares, then comments, then likes, and then finally clicks. All of these have weight. And if any of these things happen to the posts, in this order, then that's what gives the post life after its initial publishing. All right, and it doesn't just get pushed down in the feed. Now let's think about this this formula. Okay, so this is how Facebook judges your rank and your presence on the platform as a contributor. So there's three things they judge. First of all is affinity. This is something really important to understand, especially if you want to think in terms of how do you turn Facebook, which your friend network is a group of people that you know at least somehow. How do you turn that? How do you crank up the affinity between you and your Facebook friends? Because again, this is not like Twitter where everything that people post is just stuck in chronological order and you just scroll down. It doesn't work that way. What Facebook is showing you are the posts created by the people that you have the highest affinity with. Who are those people? Those are the people whose posts you've commented on in the past, people whose posts you've liked in the past, people who you have conversations with through the platform. They're going to show you their stuff. And again, we get in this bubble where, especially if you spend 2 minutes consuming Facebook a day, then you only ever see the top 20 or 30 posts, and it's always the same people. Okay, so how do we think in terms of breaking outside of that Facebook bubble, that affinity bubble, and increase the affinity that we have between friends that are already on the platform, but maybe you haven't seen their stuff in a while? So here's how to think about this. Go to your friends network, okay, and take a look at the friend network that you have, and go down the list and think, okay, who is somebody that maybe I haven't talked to on the platform since I became friends with them in years? Who's an old high school friend, an old coworker, somebody that you genuinely like, you just are not in touch with, and you realize you're not seeing their stuff. Okay, so I did an experiment with this when I was researching this last fall. So this is my buddy Ben Morton. He and I were great friends in high school. We lost touch in college. We went to college in very different parts of the country, and then started our adventures and started our families. Reconnected on Facebook years ago, but I realized I wasn't seeing his posts. And so I just went to his feed, and I realized he was posting all the time, fun stuff with his kids and all those kinds of things. They just weren't showing up in my feed because I had a low affinity with him, because I had just made a Facebook friends with him, never connected on the platform apart from that friendship request. Okay, so what I did was I created a post about a band that he and I used to listen to and that's on tour. I sent that post to him. We had this funny conversation back and forth about it on the post. I didn't do anything else, and now Ben's posts show up in my feed. Okay, and he posts a lot. So that's the kind of thing where Facebook saw us as this stretched out silly putty, very thin affinity web between us. It reconnected us. It made us sticky again. So this is the single greatest warm market network that you have for your business. You have however many hundreds or maybe thousands of Facebook friends that you have. The large majority of them, Facebook sees you as having a low affinity too. So your first and easiest thing that you can do on the platform is go make yourself stickier to people. Now, we want to do that, of course, because Juice Plus people, y'all are the greatest people that I've ever worked with. You are mission driven. You care about people more than you care about product. Your product moves because of the way you all care about people. So go be that, right? Go be yourself. Go reconnect with these people on the platform. Show Facebook that you're interested in what they have to say. And what happens by default is your posts, your healthy living posts, your soundboard articles start showing up in their feeds, okay, which hopefully can start a conversation. So everybody wins because you're actually really trying to make real connections, and your stuff starts to show up. All right, and then I have a slide here. This is just a great example. I found this a couple of weeks ago. This is Ruth Wilkinson. She is on Carrie Daigle's team. She lives in New Zealand, but she's been a wonderful, giving me great feedback on Soundboard. But this is a great example of a post. This is a Soundboard article she posted a couple weeks ago, and all this conversation popped up. Now it was a little bit weird to track it down because of the time zone difference. But the best I could tell, this post had at least a 48-hour life cycle to it, with the comments that kept coming about people running, complaining about running, sympathizing with each other on how do you stay healthy and fit in this season of busyness and having kids and things like that. So that's a great example of how a post can have a life of its own if it does catch people's interest. When you start making posts like this, don't just think about Facebook as a free throw at the buzzer and then you just walk off and hope for the best. You've got to take the steps to connecting with your network. And again, you are sitting on, I've got 530 Facebook friends. I mean, what an incredible opportunity you have there. So don't just think that when you make a healthy living post and then just let it sit, that hundreds of people are seeing it. They're not. People who maybe 20, maybe 30, maybe 50 people are immediately going to see that. So how do you up that ratio? So again, we'll get into the math of it a little bit more next week, because this is, I think, really interesting as far as how Facebook handles their business algorithm versus their personal feed algorithm. But you have the capacity by Facebook's design and by their statement that your friend network is now way more viable, way more people can have the ability to see your posts than any kind of business page could offer at this point. And it used to be the opposite of that. So they've really flipped it on its head, and this is why Mark Zuckerberg owns an island now. So Nick says, what I'm saying is by means of the algorithm, the personal page will get more affinity than a business page. Yes, that's what I mean. That personal pages went from about 25 to 35% of your friend network would see any given post that was created. Now it's upwards of 55%. And business pages went from 100% to less than 1%. And I'll show you all that stuff. Should you dump your business page? I really want to spend the bulk of our time next week talking about that. I'm going to nail that question right on the head. The short answer is if it hasn't grown very much, then yes, dump it. It is not worth your time. The long answer is we'll talk more about it next week, and you can maybe weigh that out. But if it's big and it's been existing for a long time and it's been thriving in points in the past, then it may be worth keeping up with. Tammy says she recommends a personal page for her reps and create a balance with your posts. Yep. Dawn, that's hilarious. I was wondering, somebody having a stroke? I'm glad you're okay. Okay, so again, when you're thinking about, we'll kind of finish on this thought here, this note, but think about, and we'll talk also about prospecting next week on Facebook, because there's some really great ways to escape your friend network bubble on the platform and get out there and make new connections rapidly in a very authentic way that's not cheesy or overly promotional. So we'll talk through all that. But in the meantime, take some time to go back, update your profile, and then just go through your friend list and say, who have I not talked to in many, many moons? Who needs to know? Or again, don't start with, I want to get healthy living stuff into their feed. Start with, how can I connect with this person again on a personal level? And just go see what they've been doing. All these people are at the top of my list here. So these are people that I see on a regular basis and interact with. But You know, just go see what people are up to. Comment on what they're doing. Comment on their interests. And I promise you they'll talk back to you. You know how it goes. And then all of a sudden you'll start seeing their stuff. They'll start seeing your stuff. And a warm market is reactivated there. So I forgot to put my contact info up on this one. Let me see if I can pull up another one real quick. But if anybody needs me, email me. You can text me. No, well, I say that. I talk and I try to type at the same time. How about you Vox me? Let's do that. Let's pull this one up. Here's all the info. All right, so if you need me before next week, this is how to find us. Again, next week, Facebook prospecting, Facebook business pages, more to come on that. We'll knock off a few minutes early here unless anybody has any other questions for today. All righty, thank you. All right, y'all have a great day. I'll see you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Tammy, I'll send you the recording here momentarily.